Hi and welcome back to Reddit Whispers. I've been sitting on this for a while now, going back and forth in my head, wondering if I should even put this out there into the world, into the void of the internet where strangers will pick apart my life and tell me what an idiot I am. But I'm at a point where the silence is deafening, where my own thoughts are a relentless echo chamber of confusion and pain, and I just need to get it out to tell someone, anyone, what's been happening. Maybe one of you out there has been through something similar. Maybe you can offer some shred of wisdom that I'm just not seeing right now, because from where I'm standing, it's all just a thick, suffocating fog. 6 months. That's how long I've been with her. Half a year. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a long time, I know. People spend decades together. But these 6 months have felt like a lifetime, a whirlwind of emotions that have taken me from the highest highs to a low I never even knew existed. And now, to make matters infinitely more complicated, she's pregnant, with my kid. And yes, before you even ask, I'm sure the baby is mine. We've done the tests, we've had the confirmations. This isn't a story about paternity fraud. I wish it were that simple, that black and white. No, this is a story about a foundation built on lies, a love that I thought was real, and a future that now feels like a cruel joke. Our story started like something out of a movie, one of those cheesy rom-coms that you watch on a lazy Sunday afternoon. I just moved to a new city for work, didn't know a soul, and was spending most of my evenings at a local coffee shop, trying to feel some semblance of human connection without actually having to talk to anyone. And then she walked in. It was one of those moments that you read about in books, where the whole world seems to slow down, where the background noise fades away and all you can see is this one person. She had this smile that could light up a room, a laugh that was infectious, and eyes that seemed to hold a universe of stories. I was instantly captivated. We started talking and it was effortless, like we'd known each other for years. We talked about everything and nothing, our dreams, our fears, our pasts. She told me she had just moved to the state as well, a fresh start, she called it. She'd gotten out of a long-term relationship a few months back and she was looking to rediscover herself, to build a new life. I remember thinking how brave she was, how resilient. I was in awe of her. Our first date was magical. We walked for hours, talking, laughing, sharing secrets under the city lights. It felt like I had found my other half, the missing piece of my puzzle. The connection was instantaneous, electric. I had never felt anything like it before. I had been in relationships before, of course, but this was different. This was on a whole other level. It was like my soul had recognized hers. Within a week, we were inseparable. We spent every free moment together, exploring the new city, trying new restaurants, staying up all night talking. She was everything I had ever wanted in a partner: intelligent, funny, compassionate, and beautiful. She made me feel seen, understood, loved. She told me she loved me after just a month, and I didn't hesitate to say it back. I was head over heels, completely and utterly smitten. I thought I was the luckiest man in the world. When she told me she was pregnant about 4 months into our relationship, I was ecstatic. We hadn't planned it, but it felt like a sign, like the universe was telling us that we were meant to be. I was going to be a father. I had always dreamed of having a family, of being a dad, and now it was happening with the woman of my dreams. I immediately started planning our future. I looked at bigger apartments, started a savings account for the baby, read every parenting book I could get my hands on. I was all in, 100% committed to her, to our baby, to our family. She seemed just as excited. We would spend hours talking about baby names, decorating the nursery, dreaming about what our child would be like. They were the happiest moments of my life. I was so blinded by my love for her, by the picture-perfect future I was painting in my head, that I missed the signs. They were small, subtle things, little inconsistencies that I dismissed at the time. There was the way she would sometimes guard her phone, angling it away from me when she was texting. I just figured she was a private person, that she valued her personal space. There were the occasional late-night phone calls that she would take in the other room, her voice a hushed whisper. She would tell me it was her mom or a friend from back home, and I had no reason not to believe her. She would sometimes mention her ex in passing, and there was a strange mix of bitterness and fondness in her voice that I couldn't quite decipher. But I told myself that it was normal, that everyone has a past, and that it was healthy that she could talk about it. I was so in love, so invested in the fairy tale that I didn't want to see anything that might shatter the illusion. I was living in a golden haze of my own making, a world where love conquered all and happily ever after was just around the corner. I was a fool, a naive, trusting fool. The first crack in my perfect world appeared on a Tuesday. I remember the day so clearly, the way the sun was streaming through the window, the smell of coffee in the air. It was a perfectly ordinary day, which made what happened next all the more jarring. I was using her laptop to look up something for work, and her iMessage was open. I wasn't snooping, I swear. It was just there on the screen. And I saw his name, her ex's name. There was a long thread of messages stretching back for months. My heart started pounding in my chest, a cold dread washing over me. I knew I shouldn't look, that I should close the window and pretend I hadn't seen anything. But I couldn't. It was like a car crash, I couldn't look away. I started reading, and with every message my world crumbled a little more. The messages were from the first 2 months of our relationship. The same 2 months that I thought were the most magical, the most perfect of my life. The same 2 months where we were falling in love, where we were building a future. While she was telling me she loved me, she was telling him the same thing. While she was telling me she missed me, she was telling him the same thing. She would call him after our dates, telling him all about them, about me. She would text him from our bed while I was sleeping next to her. The messages were a dagger to my heart. Every loving word she had ever said to me now felt like a lie, a performance. I felt sick to my stomach, a wave of nausea so intense I thought I was going to be sick. I kept scrolling, hoping, praying that it would stop, that there would be some explanation, some context that would make it all make sense. But there wasn't. It was just a raw, unfiltered betrayal. She had been living a double life, playing with my emotions, my heart. The only reason they hadn't met up was because she had moved to another state. If she hadn't, would she have been sleeping with him while she was with me? The thought was a poison, seeping into every happy memory I had of us, tainting it, destroying it. I felt like I was suffocating, like the air had been sucked out of the room. I had to get out of there. I left the apartment, walking for hours, my mind racing. I went over every moment of our relationship, every conversation, every touch, every kiss. It was all a lie. I was a placeholder, a rebound, a convenience. I was just a fool who had fallen for her act. I felt a rage building inside me, a white-hot anger that I had never experienced before. How could she do this to me, to us, to our baby? I also felt an overwhelming sense of sadness, a profound grief for the love I thought I had, for the future I thought we were building. It was all gone, evaporated into thin air. I didn't know what to do, where to go. I just knew that I couldn't go back to that apartment, to her, not yet. I needed to think, to process, to try and make sense of the senseless. But there was no sense to be made. It was a betrayal of the highest order, a wound so deep I wasn't sure it would ever heal. And as I walked the lonely streets of a city that suddenly felt cold and unfamiliar, one question kept echoing in my mind over and over again. What the actual hell do I do now? The walk was a blur. I don't know how long I was gone, hours maybe. The sun had started to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, a beautiful sight that I couldn't appreciate. All I could see was the text on her screen, the words burned into my memory. I love you. I miss you. Words she had said to me, whispered in my ear as we lay in bed, words that I had cherished, that I had held onto like a lifeline. And all along she was saying them to him. The duplicity of it was what I couldn't wrap my head around. How can a person do that? How can you look someone in the eye, tell them you love them while you're typing the same words to someone else? What kind of person does that? I finally made my way back to the apartment, my heart a heavy stone in my chest. I knew what I had to do. I had to confront her. I couldn't live with this secret, this lie. I needed to hear it from her, to see her face when she told me the truth. I walked in and she was on the couch, watching TV, a small smile on her face. She looked up at me, her smile widening. "Hey, you," she said, her voice full of warmth. I was starting to get worried. The sound of her voice, once a comfort, now grated on my nerves. I couldn't look at her. I just stood there in the doorway, my hands clenched into fists. She must have sensed that something was wrong because her smile faded, her brow furrowing with concern. "What is it?" she asked, her voice laced with anxiety. "What's wrong?" I couldn't speak. The words were stuck in my throat, a lump of anger and pain. I just walked over to her laptop, opened it, and turned it towards her. I watched as her eyes scanned the screen, as the color drained from her face. I saw the moment she realized what she was looking at, the flicker of panic in her eyes. She looked up at me, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. For a moment she was speechless. Then the denial started. "It's not what it looks like," she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. "It's old from before we met." I just shook my head, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. "Don't," I said, my voice low and dangerous. "Don't you dare lie to me, not now." I pointed to the dates on the messages, dates that were well within the first 2 months of our relationship. Dates when we were already exclusive, when we were supposedly falling in love. Her face crumpled, the tears starting to fall. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed, her voice thick with emotion. I was confused, I was scared. I had just gotten out of a long relationship and I didn't know what I was doing. I listened to her excuses, her justifications, but they were just noise. Nothing she could say could undo what she had done. Nothing could erase the image of her texting him while she was with me, of her telling him she loved him while she was building a life with me. I asked her why. Why she would do something so cruel, so heartless. She told me she was afraid of getting hurt, that she was keeping her options open. She said that she loved me, that she had chosen me, and that it was all in the past. But it wasn't in the past for me. It was my present, my reality. It was the foundation of our relationship, a foundation that was now a pile of rubble. The confrontation was a blur of tears, of accusations, of a pain so raw it felt like it was tearing me apart. I yelled, I screamed, I let out all the anger and hurt that had been building inside me. And she just sat there, crying, begging me to forgive her, to give her another chance. Then when she saw that I wasn't backing down, that I was serious about leaving, she did something that I will never forget, something that still sends a chill down my spine. She threatened to kill herself. She told me that she couldn't live without me, that I was her everything, and that if I left, she would have nothing to live for. She begged me to stay, her voice a desperate, pleading wail. "I love you so much," she cried, her words a twisted, manipulative dagger. What in the hell? In that moment something inside me snapped. The anger, the sadness, it was all replaced by a cold, hard clarity. This wasn't love. This was manipulation. This was a desperate attempt to control me, to trap me. She was using my emotions, my fear, to get what she wanted. I felt a surge of disgust, a revulsion so strong it made my skin crawl. Who was this person? This woman who I thought I knew, who I thought I loved. She was a stranger to me, a master of deception, a puppeteer pulling at my heartstrings. I felt stuck, utterly and completely stuck. I couldn't leave, not with her threatening to harm herself. I couldn't stay, not with the knowledge of her betrayal, of her manipulation. I was trapped in a nightmare of her making, a prisoner in my own life. The confrontation ended with a tense, fragile truce. I agreed to stay for now, for the sake of the baby, for the sake of her mental health. But I told her that things would have to change, that I didn't know if I could ever trust her again. She promised me that she would do whatever it took to earn back my trust, that she would be completely transparent, that she would never lie to me again. But how can I believe anything she says? How can I ever look at her and not see the lies, the deceit, the manipulation? And so here I am, 6 months into a relationship that feels like a lie, with a baby on the way and a woman who I don't even know anymore. I'm living in a state of limbo, a constant state of anxiety and uncertainty. I go through the motions. I play the part of the happy, expectant father, but inside, I'm a wreck. I'm a shell of the man I used to be. The joy and excitement I once felt about becoming a father has been replaced by a gnawing fear. How can I bring a child into this world, into this broken home? What kind of a father will I be when I'm so filled with anger and resentment? I look at her and I see a stranger. I see the woman who broke my heart, who shattered my trust, who manipulated me into staying. And yet, I also see the mother of my child, the woman who is carrying a part of me inside her. It's a conflict that tears me apart, a war that rages within me every single day. I want to believe her when she says she's changed, that she's done with her ex, that she's ready to be a family with me. I want to believe that we can move past this, that we can build a new foundation, a stronger one on the ashes of the old one. But I can't. The fear is too strong, the wound too deep. I'm scared this might happen again. What's to stop her from doing it again the next time she feels confused or scared or insecure? How can I ever be sure that I'm the only one, that she's not secretly talking to someone else, telling them the same things she's telling me? The trust is gone and I don't know how to get it back. It's like a broken mirror. You can try to piece it back together, but the cracks will always be there, a constant reminder of the damage that was done. I feel like I'm at a crossroads with no clear path forward. Do I stay for the sake of my child and try to make it work in a relationship that may be beyond repair? Do I leave and try to co-parent with a woman who I can't trust, a woman who has shown me a side of herself that I can never unsee? Both options feel like a life sentence, a future filled with pain and heartache. I'm lost, I'm broken, and I don't know what to do. I look at her pregnant belly, and I feel a surge of love for the little person growing inside, a love so fierce it takes my breath away. And then I look at her face, and I feel a surge of anger, of betrayal, of a sadness so profound it feels like it's going to swallow me whole. I'm living in a constant state of emotional whiplash, a roller coaster of love and hate, of hope and despair. I'm tired of the lies, of the secrets, of the constant fear. I'm tired of feeling like I'm walking on eggshells, of second-guessing everything she says and does. I just want to feel happy again, to feel safe, to feel loved. But I don't know if that's possible anymore, not with her. So I'm turning to you, the faceless strangers of the internet, in the hopes that someone somewhere can offer some guidance, some perspective, some semblance of hope. What the actual hell do I do? Thank you for listening this story. Please leave your thoughts in the comments. Click like and subscribe to the Reddit Whispers for more.